to co-create with professionals visions of the future. These vision of the futures, these concepts of the future, today I'm going to introduce to you with 3 examples, but also to critically reflect, because sometimes has gone by, some peer-reviewed publications have been printed, and it's I'm also in the position not only to show you examples of my work, but to critically reflect on what was good and what was less good in the work we did in the face of Corona. So I will now share my screen. Yes. Basically, my work is about identifying hypotheses for the future on the planet. How could the future look like? How could we anticipate the future? How could we co-create preferable futures? What you're going to see. Unfortunately, the presentation does not. Oh, okay. What you're going to see is an example of a concept that was co-created in the city of Wrocław in Poland, European Capital of Culture 2016. It was created by a large team of architects, designers, managers, facilitated by Philips Lighting Poland, Dorota Slawińska, now it's Signify Poland. This underpass is normally pitch dark, was normally pitch dark, as it was
recording in progress.
As it was designed in a part of town where it acts like a sort of coronary bypass between squares and avenues, but since it is an underprivileged part of town, it's kept normally dark. The experiment here, the concept, the idea is simply to bring light to the underpass. This area is normally considered not really ideal to walk at night. It's considered dangerous. It's considered unappealing for families to walk by. And what you see is that when we, together with the teams of Signify Poland, lit up the sort of mock-up prototype of how the underpass would look like with the benefit of playful light, all of a sudden it became a kindergarten for the children and the kids of the neighborhood at night. And it really changed its function. Not only it was, again, just like it is during the day, a passage, a connection between different parts of town, but it became really owned by the people. I think in post-corona times, the social function of urban lighting is definitely crucial. Also, what appears crucial is the fact that the intervention by the team of lighting designers and architectural students here respected the heritage of the city of Wrocław. This is a sketch of the concept that was created by the workshop participants, and you can see how the highlight of the concept goes in terms of aesthetics to the top of the arch here. This top of the arch is a vernacular architecture. It's typical of the area of Silesia, of Wrocław, which is an area between Germany and Poland. It's a sort of aesthetic identity trait of the city, and the designers really put a spotlight on it. So the combination of lighting facilitating a social gathering, a socializing function, plus the respect of the heritage, the respect of the identity. And in these terms, I remember in 2010 I visited Seoul, World Design Capital. I remember the work that was done at the level of urban design to recuperate the identity of the city and the history of the city. These are the two traits that I think will drive, from a point of view of social and cultural trends and demand, the development of urban light and urban lighting. This is on the same square in Poland. It's the same team. And I like to show this concept in terms of storytelling. It's replacing a statue that was removed by the Russian army in 1945, at the time when they came into the Polish country after the occupation of the Germans, replacing this military monument with beams of light. So it's a very likable storytelling, because basically in this square that is normally pitch dark, what you see is these two beams of light that virtually stand among what we call the symphony of nature. So among the highlight of the trees and of the nature of the square. And again, I have to stress the fact that besides this experimental design workshop, this square is normally pitch dark. So normally you would have the nighttime dark on the square. Here the focus went on the nature, and the message was about peace. So the focus went on the frame around the monument. So this is the foundation of the monument that was removed. It was a German military monument. These are the trees that you saw, and in this area there is the socializing, the kind of opportunity for people to sit and to drink together and to socialize. Well, the thing here is that as much as we like peace and we like aesthetic use of lighting, we learned, this was 2012, we learned after a couple of years that these beams of light are really bad for the dark sky, of course, for birds. There have been documentaries, there have been papers documenting the negative impact of this kind of aesthetic use of light. I like to report this concept because, of course, the designers and the architects and the students were in total good intention at the time. Because of the New York City Memorial, it was quite fashionable to have these kind of solutions. But actually, it's an example of how good ideas for innovation turned out to be very bad ideas. And luckily, this was just a mock-up for one night. It was not installed. Otherwise, it would have been very bad for birds and very bad for the preservation of the night sky. There are several examples of how this kind of innovation ideas look very flashy, very artistic. Here in Eindhoven, we had an example of a highway with self-illuminating, self-lighting concrete prototype by Dan Rosengard and Heijmans. In that case, it was a very visible, very newsworthy kind of concept, but it did not work. And if you do a bit of research, you can find that very often behind this kind of concepts where light and lighting are steered towards aesthetic use, towards the wow effect, you have negative impact. So, of course, this kind of use of light and lighting fits into society, into culture, because all the things we see are part of our material base for culture. However, I think that the direction where our ego as human beings, our mindset of imposing an aesthetic use of resources on the planet will decrease in appeal because of the sustainable demand from younger generations, the climate change and the impact. So I used to love the concept. I still like very much the storytelling, especially these days when we have a war in Europe. But I like to have a critical reflection on this kind of innovation where aesthetics are leading. The last concept comes from Glasgow, and it's a very arty concept. This was created by a mixed team of guests of the workshop, partly British, partly Polish. And here light, urban light and lighting lose the function to provide illumination and become a sort of art installation purely for the purpose of getting people together. This became also the cover of our book with Tapio Rosenius, which we printed on behalf of Philips Lighting and of Signify. I think this concept stresses the need again for social aggregation, but also the need for symbolic, for deeper use of lighting, of illumination beyond the pure functional, not in a monumental aesthetic drive as the square we just saw, but with the focus on enabling and facilitating people to gather together. So a couple of words on the methodology behind these concepts. It is based on workshops. The workshops are were planned. This is the Rector's Palace in Dubrovnik. The workshops were planned all over Europe across 5 years by Philips Lighting, now Signify, with Tapio Rosenius and me as facilitators. The workshops have been very important. I wrote a PhD about City People Light programs. The workshops were very important as creative moment, but also as a moment of social gathering, a little bit like this event in Seoul. There is the dimension where you exchange knowledge, but there is also the dimension where you perform socially in your function, in your professional status, networking, getting recognition, giving recognition. The second dimension is the dimension of networking and connecting. And in the case of this latest book, I interviewed before the workshops and before the projects a number of architects and experts. You might recognize Samir Bantal, who is the director of AMO at Office for Metropolitan Architecture, so he's the director of research for Rem Koolhaas. You might recognize Astrid Piber, who is the partner for Germany and Asia of UN Studio. Beato Urbanovic and Kathy Johnston are city managers. Hans Momas is the head of the Central Planning Bureau of the Dutch government and a professor in leisure. Paolo Verri and Kari Korkman have been the director of Torino World Design Capital Communications, and Kari is the director of the Helsinki Design Week. So before getting into co-creation, we try to understand the future in the view of experts, of leaders. In 2000 and for 2014, I interviewed these experts. In 2006, for an earlier global cycle of City People Light, I spoke with top people in urban architecture. So the panel here was in a way more based on top expertise, but also more focused, more specific on architecture. This kind of research, preliminary research, is fed into a system of metrics, tools, and this enables the concepts that you have seen before to be positioned in a very clear frame that corrects the design, research, and constructivist approach that we chose. This methodology is scalable, and we scaled it with Tapio Rosenius, with Think in a Tank. So what you have seen so far is part of my former collaboration with Signify and Philips. Think in a Tank was a cycle of events at the Helsinki Design Week at Silo 468, which is the iconic oil tank redesigned with 2012 little holes and lights, where basically the nighttime light mimics the light of the day in Helsinki in this icon. And here with Tapio Rosenius, we scaled, we changed slightly the approach, we made it slightly more focused on younger architects, younger designers, the new generation of designers. Here you see the participants of the 2016 edition. We also included moments of immersion and experiential reflection with classical music. Of course, the silo is a sort of a humdrum. But in the end, we printed a year ago a paper on World Future Review, which is a leading journal in future research, edited in the past by Jim Dator and now by John Sweeney. What is interesting is directions of identified from this second cycle of research we did, is that we did not only reflect on light and lighting from the point of view of the metropolis, of buildings, of objects, but also how light and lighting works on the body. And this connects very nicely to the Enlighten Me project that is studying the impact of lighting on senior citizens. We tried to understand hypotheses of future developments where light beyond electric lighting, beyond urban lighting, would work in synergy, perhaps even originated by the human body. We really looked into scenarios for what John Sweeney defines as post-normal times, times of very great complexity, and basically you can take into account that we did the research between 2014 and 2016. We printed in 2019, so before the pandemics, but we already identified at that time the need to think in post-normal models, which is a way to express how we cannot apply linear thinking to future developments. And there is a very interesting book by John Sweeney, from the 2014-15, describing this line of thinking. I stop sharing to conclude, and I would like to conclude with the a sort of design direction that is beyond lighting. It's the life-centered design approach by Bruce Mau. I interviewed Bruce 1 year ago, and I will interview him in 2 weeks on occasion of the publication of his new book, The Nexus, the new convergence of art, technology, and science, with Julio Mario Ottino. Bruce has written a lot of books. Bruce Mau is a leading designer. Mau MC24 a couple of years ago, and around 20 years ago, Massive Change. Basically, Bruce, besides being a friend, he defined this notion of life-centered design. So a design approach that incorporates the environment, the other species, the context, the planet in the design concept, in the design process. I think this is the way forward. So not so much design of light and lighting icons, aesthetic wow effects, but a design school, a design discipline that looks at the context, at the planet, at the birds, at nature, and integrates in the design process the needs, the demands, the priorities of these inhabitants of our planet. I think this design approach, life-centered design, will definitely mark our future and is our hope, our way forward through the present crisis and out of the pandemic crisis as well, since we still don't know how it originated. Well, this is more or less what I wanted to share with you today. If you have questions, or if there is now, there are a few minutes for the Q&A, and I would be very happy to engage with you. Don't be shy.
Yes, please do not hesitate to ask questions. So we have lots of questions from the chat room, but I can't see. So would you please help me to read it? Yes, we have a question. Can I just move to the screen to read it?
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Here's the question. Hello, Marco. Your concepts are very innovative. Are these applicable on facade lighting as well?
On the?
Are these applicable on facade lighting as well? Somebody
I don't understand
like
the word before lighting.
Maybe the facade.
Facade.
On the facade lighting. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we had several concepts related to facades, especially in Eastern Europe, where this surface is particularly beloved. In the Scandinavian countries, it was more about the contours of the buildings, for example, whereas in Poland it was really very enthusiastic ideas about the facades and the sort of presentation of the building. I have to say the applicability has been demonstrated. There is in Seoul, in the early 2000s, you had a shopping mall, a department store called Galleria, I think, and that was a concept by Rogier van der Heijden of Arup, where the skin of the building, the facade, and the whole building became a huge media machine. And this was achieved around 2002 with customized solutions. One of the companies I've been consulting is Ren Electronica in the Netherlands, and they are sort of maverick geniuses of making things that are otherwise impossible. So in that case, Rogier van der Heijden came up with this idea. The technology was just there, it was not developed yet. He was helped by, I think at the time by Philips to make it happen. And this concept was, this idea was visible in 1996 in this book, in the first City People Light book. This doesn't mean that Rogier copied the idea or that the designers who wrote the 1996 City People Light book, where I was not involved, somehow had the idea, but it was not applicable. When you study the future, you come across concepts, ideas that might or might not be applicable. For example, the idea of a self-reflecting highway. In 2006, I recorded it in a workshop in Shanghai with guests from Asia, and it was very, very clear and very, very valuable. And it was realized as a prototype a few years later by Dan Rosengart. So the ideas are applicable. Sometimes they are not 100% feasible yet. They are based on roadmaps of technology. And definitely the facade lighting is a very important field. It will change as well, though, because I think that the climate change and the need to rethink our relationship with the dark sky and the night will bring substantial change to facade lighting design. Probably also not in the line of these concepts, because these concepts are 2014. We will see things change. I see a question from my friend Rick van Stiepel. Hello, Rick. I think colored light in public lighting is an established fact. It's a technological, it's not only possible, it's almost automatic with LED technology that you can achieve it. I think it is an important switch, equivalent to the switch from black and white TV to color TV, and it will definitely stay. But I think it will stay in a more mature way. It will grow. It's a little bit like when you give the first moped or motorcycle to a teenager, then there is a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excess, a lot of show off. I think we will mature in the way we approach color light in public settings. We will go into understanding how color light, like in the last concept I presented, how colored light can play functions that are social, that are cultural, and how color light can work for the benefit of people. So, for example, like we have seen and we will see with the Enlighten Me project, how color light could help in functional, aesthetic, cultural ways, weaker groups in society. So in that case, the senior citizens. So that I would see as the possibility.
Hello, Marco.
A last question. Hi, Mark. Hi.
Hey,
Thank you for inviting
from
me.
Seoul. I mean, it's been wonderful to have you. Thank you so much. Your speech was very, very interesting. There's lots of things we can take from there. So thank you very much. It's been wonderful. I have a question for you, but I won't ask it right now because we don't have time and you have to run to your students. But
My students can wait. But...
No, it's okay. But I will write it by email. But it was super, super great to have you,
Well, I would
Marco.
be very. I think the work Luci is doing is really hugely important. I refer again to the booklet that is a sort of Bible in a few pages, and I will be very, very happy to rejoin and to meet you again. And if any in the audience likes to get in touch, please feel free to ask Mark and Luci my directions, and Luci members are always very welcome in my inbox and for further dialogue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marco.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving us the good message for the Luci as well. Thank you very much, Mark. I would like to wrap up your keynote speech. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yes, he just told us how to predict and prepare for the future of the urban light after the COVID-19. Thank you very much once again. Now we'll have the time to think of what direction we'll have to develop of city lights through the best practices from the 5 Asian cities. First of all, we will look at the case of the Incheon metropolitan city, which is also called the gateway to Korea because it is located along the sea. First of all, the director Im Chul-hee from Incheon Metropolitan City will first introduce the policy of Incheon City, and then the Professor Il Gi-shin, the head of Department of Culture Contents at Incheon Catholic University, will be presenting on the topic of decoration using light, color, and design. First of all, I'd like to invite to the podium the director Im Chul-hee. Please welcome.
네, 안녕하십니까. 인천광역시청 도시경관건축과의 도시디자인 팀장 임철희입니다. 반갑습니다. 우선 이렇게 좋은 행사에, 뜻깊은 행사에 저희 인천시 사례를 이렇게 소개할 수 있게 기회를 주신 서울시와 루시 관계자 여러분께 진심으로 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 저희 인천시는 우리 루시 이 워크숍에 꾸준히 참여를 했었는데요. 올해는 저희들이 그동안 몇 년 동안 좀 본격적으로 진행해온 프로젝트를 소개해 드릴까 합니다. 저희들이 오늘 발표할 제목 그대로 야간의 인천을 명소로 만들고자 이렇게 열심히 노력하고 있는데
time attractions of Incheon City, and to share some context of these projects with
성장 동력이었다는 얘기를 많이 들으셨을 겁니다. 글로벌 국제공항도 있고 국제항만도 있고 우리나라 최초의 경제자유구역도 있고 인구 300만이 넘는 우리나라의 3번째 큰 도시가 됐습니다. 그럼에도 불구하고 많은 시민들께서 또 방문객들께서 인천의 밤이 상당히 좀 어둡다, 또 이렇게 좀 더 안전하고
night views or nightscape in Incheon is not brilliant or not bright enough. And taking the idea from such perspectives, we asked Incheon citizens to select 10 night attractions, which we have been working on. And we have also identified additional spaces in Incheon that has the potential to become beautiful nighttime attractions of not only for Incheon, but for the entire Republic of Korea. We are administrators.
여기에 이 분야의 전문가분들을 많이 모셨습니다. 특히 기존의 야간 경관 사업하고 조금 차별화하고자 야간 경관, 야간 조명에 대한 문화, 콘텐츠, 예술로서 이렇게 승화시키고자 저희들이 이 분야의 전문 교수님들을 모시고 이 프로젝트를 진행했습니다. 이 프로젝트의 주요 역할을 해주신 신일기 교수님께서 세부적인 내용을 한번 발표해 드리겠습니다. 끝에 질문하실 때는 저와 교수님께서 같이 질문에 대한 답변을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 반갑습니다. 네, 발표 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 테크레이션 기술과 예술의 조합, 빛과 색 디자인을 통한 인천 야간 명소화 사례를 발표를 맡게 된 인천 가톨릭대학교 문화콘텐츠학과의 신일기 교수입니다. 이렇게 만나뵙게 돼서 반갑습니다. 이렇게 하게 해주신 루시와 서울시 주최 측에 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 오늘 앞서 기조 발언에서도 좀 비슷한 맥락이 좀 보이는데요. 저는 조금 다른 이야기를 좀 하도록 해보겠습니다. 그래서 데코레이션이라는 개념과 인천의 빛과 색 그리고 디자인을 통한 그 야간 명소화 사례를 좀 말씀드리고자 하겠습니다. 제가 저에 대해서 간단하게 소개를 드리면, 제가 운이 좋게 한국에서 10년 동안 우리나라의 대표적 명소화 프로젝트인 서울 삼성동 코엑스 자유표시구역입니다. 5개연구 자유표시구역의 프로젝트를 좀 수행을 했고, 그리고 방탄소년단의 소속사인 하이브가 있는 CJ 그리고 하이브를 비롯해서 우리나라 CJ 미디어라든지 우리나라의 대표 미디어들의 거점인 상암 DMC의 명소화, 그리고 인천 자유구역청, 인천시청, 인천의 여러 가지 명소화 프로젝트를 쭉 진행해 왔습니다. 그래서 가장 대표적인 사례 중에 최근에 가장 좀 유명세를 탔던 케이스가 삼성역의 웨이브 케이스입니다. CJ 파워캐스트가 진행을 하고 디스트리트가 공공미술 프로젝트로 아나몰픽이라는 기술을 적용해서 가상의 자연을 현실 공간화해서 많은 도시 브랜드의 어떤 아이덴티티라든가 화제성 그리고 어떤 명소적 효과를 이끌어냈던 사례들을 좀 보여드릴 수 있는데요. 이게 단적인 하나의 사례로 좀 부각이 됐던 부분들이고요. 지금 보시는 영상은 삼성동 자유표시구역이라고 부르는 곳입니다. 이쪽은 저희가 취지부터 한 7년 정도 사업을 추진했는데, 한국의 뉴욕 타임스퀘어와 같은 공간을
And it was supposed to be like Times Square of New York. So we worked with the Ministry of Administration, Seoul Metropolitan Government, and Gangnam District Office worked together for this project. So it was a combination of digital outdoor advertisement and digital signage. We worked with various artists and cultural artists as well, and many corporations sponsored as well. Chanel also had a promotion in the outdoor space, and this was the space where multiple cultural festivals or activities could take stage. And when people hear Gangnam, they think about Gangnam style of Psy. But we wanted to go beyond that image. We wanted to create a unique space in Samsung area.
하고, 그리고 이제 지역 구민들 같은 경우에도 강남을 대표하는 공간은 이곳이다라는 이야기들을 하는 그런 성과들을 내게 되었습니다. 그래서 보시면 이 테크놀로지와 데코레이션이라는 합성어로 이제 데코레이션을 말씀을 드리는데, 이게 코로나 이후에 이제 도시를 바라보는 관점이 더욱더 이제 도시 자체를 하나의 컨텐츠, 미디어 섹션으로 바라보는 사고들이 좀 많이 일어나고 있고, 그 도시 공간의 새로운 경험들을 구체화하고 기술과 예술이 결합돼서 어떤 새로운 자극들을 줄 수 있는, 그리고 이게 계속 어떤 하나의 일회성이 아니라 경제적 효과와 연동돼서 그 지역에 가면 보헤미안의 어떤 느낌들을 얻을 수 있고, 자연스럽게 자본들이 유입될 수 있는 구조들을 어떻게 안착하는가가 화두가 되었습니다. 이 하단에 보시는 것들은 작년에 이제 광화문에 도입된 강화 시대의 케이스들을 좀 가져와 봤고요. 제가 인천 출신이라서 이러한 변화를 근대화를 주도한 인천에서도 시작한다는 것이 첫 시작이었습니다. 앞서서 임철희 팀장님께서도 비슷한 말씀을 하셨는데, 인천은 근대 개항의 거점으로서 다양한 국제 문화가 유입되는 항구 도시이자 최초의 국제 도시였습니다. 한때 80년대까지는 동인천이라는 곳이 서울 명동이라는 곳과 비슷한 지가와 유동인구를 자랑하던 곳이었지만, 시간이 지나면서 서울 집중도로 인해서 어떤 공동화, 쇠락을 거듭하게 되는 곳이었습니다. 그래서 저희는 가장 비용 효율이 높은 야간 명소화를 통해서 공간을 활성화하고 경제적 효과, 관광 효과를 통해서 시민들과 외부 방문객들이 인천만의 랜드마크를 경험하고 체험할 수 있도록 하자라는 취지로 출발하게 되었고요. 그 배경에는 우리나라도 이제 한국 같은 경우에도 52시간 근로제가 도입되면서 야간 활동에 대한 그런 것들이 굉장히 급격하게 드러나고 야간에 해야 되는 활동에 대한 기대가 굉장히 필요해졌던 시기입니다. 그래서 저희는 그 삶의 질을 추구하는 도시공간 전환의 관점과 그리고 지역 경제 그리고 도시공간의 안전성을 높이는 데 초점을 두고 뭐 보시면 아시겠지만 다소 공격적이고 도전적인 형태의 사업들을 추진해 왔습니다. 그런데 이런 부분들은 국내외의 야간 경제에 대한 패러다임들, 그러니까 뭐 영국 런던이라든지 뉴욕, 도쿄, 그 중국 상해 등에서 야간 경제 활성화를 하고자 하는 시책과 맞닿아 있는 그런 방향성에서 시작을 했다라고 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 이러한 명사 전략은 크게 저희가 바라봤을 때는 시설 의존형과 경관 관람형의 같은 경우는 아무래도 사업 규모가 크고 상시적으로 유동인구를 유지하는 부분, 그리고 자본과 경제적 요소, 그리고 컨텐츠가 계속해서 선순환될 수 있는 것들이 굉장히 중요한 사업으로 판단을 했고, 그리고 체험 활동이나 엔터테인먼트적인 부분, 비교적 적은 예산과 일시적인 축제와 문화예술이 연결되는 것을 유형으로 좀 나눠서 사업화를 좀 접근을 했고요. 이런 것들은 필연적으로 어떤 형태가 되었건 유동인구가 적고 야간에 어둡고 쇠락한 구도심이 많은 인천에서는 디자인적인 리듬을 통해서 도시 공간에 변화를 주고 야간에 안전하고 쾌적하고 활동성을 높여서 결국엔 사람들이 모일 수 있는 경제적 효과에 기대할 수 있는 공간들을 만들어낼 수 있다라고 접근을 좀 해봤습니다. 그리고 아까 조명 패러다임에 대한 말씀을 드렸는데요. 앞서도 저도 동의되는 부분들이 조명을 저는 임의상으로 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 디지털 사이니지와 미디어 파사드의 그 궤적으로 좀 분류를 좀 해봤습니다. 그래서 기본적으로 재현과 어떤 소재의 형태로 좀 나눠서 좀 봤는데요. 하단에 간단하게 영상들이 제시가 됩니다만 저희가 이 조명을 단순하게 관리 효율과 어떤 태양을 대신하는 그런 기능들을 하는 부분들과 스마트 미디어가 들어가서 건축 외피와 연결돼서 하나의 특수한 경험들을 제공하는 미디어적인 경험들을 제시하는 형태들로 여러 가지 형태들을 확장 진화할 수 있다라고 판단을 했고, 또 하나에 대한 부분들은 연출적인 형태에 있어서 하단의 이미지와 비추어서 보면 되는데, 어떤 그 지역의 역사나 랜드마크와 아이덴티티를 명확하게 있는 곳들 같은 경우는 조명의 연출 중심의 전환이 필요하고, 어떤 문화활동과 집적화된 상업활동들이 되어 있는 곳들은 미디어 타사드와 인터랙티브 연출적인 형태들을 보완적으로 사용하는 것이 적정하다라고 판단을 했습니다. 그래서 앞서서 말씀드렸습니다. 인천의 그 장소 경제 문화 관점에서 도시의 환경의 적정성, 장소의 경쟁력, 문화 사업의 유입 요건들을 통해서 경쟁력 있는 공간을 찾았고, 그걸 통해서 인천 공항을 중심으로 해서 그 서울과 연결되는 축을 인천의 경관, 구도심을 관통하는 역사 문화적 인천의 전통 공간, 그리고 경제청 송도라는 신도시가 있는데 그곳을 연결하는 미래라는 관점, 그래서 인천의 경관, 전통, 미래라는 관점에서 10개 지역에 대한 사업을 추진했습니다. 총 4년 동안 그 309억 원을 투입해서 8개의 야간 명소화와 8개의 디자인 사업을 완료하거나 추진하고 있습니다. 총 8개에서 지금 최근에는 이제 2개가 더 추가돼서 10군데의 사업들을 미래의 구도심과 신도심의 어떤 아이덴티티를 잡는 형태로 활성화시키고 있고요. 실제 진행된 사례들을 보시면 이 이미지 보시면 나오십니다만 아마 국내에서는 최초이고요. 국외에서도 사례가 거의 없는 걸로 알고 있습니다만, 시청사의 공공청사로서는 최초로서 상시형 미디어 체험 공간, 미디어 쇼와 그리고 주민 행사를 거점 공간으로 추진하였고요. 좌측에 인천대공원의 야간 경관 사업은 통상 벚꽃 축제를 하면 30만에서 35만 정도가 이제 유입이 되는데, 이 미디어 파사드 쇼 이후에 67만 명까지 증가해서 수도권의 어떤 대표적인 명소 볼거리로 만들어진 사례들을 좀 보실 수가 있습니다. 뒤에서 다시 설명을 좀 드리겠고요. 그래서 보시면 인천시청은 플랫폼 형태로 제공이 돼서 공공의 어떤 사업이나 이미지들을 표현하는 그런 미디어 공간으로 활용하거나, 아니면 지역 주민들이 원하는 형태 행사들을 할 수 있는 형태의 플랫폼 형태의 개방 형태로 좀 추진을 하고 있고요. 그리고 최근에 이제 가장 성공 사례로 뽑히는 구도심의 사람들이 찾지 않는 공원의 이 수봉공원이라는 곳이 있는데요. 이것은 과거에 이제 도시명 놀이공원이 최초로 있었던 곳입니다. 그래서 그러다 보니까 이제 오랫동안 역사성을 가지고 있다 보니 많은 사람들의 추억이나 경험들이 많이 있었던 곳이었으나 많이 버려졌던 공간들입니다. 그래서 이 공간들을 네. 이게 이제 수공원의 어떤 전체 공간들인데요. 여기에 어떤 연출 조명이라든가 스마트 조명, 그리고 미디어 파사드, 미디어 매핑 등을 적용을 해서 볼거리를 만들고 사람들이 유입하는 공간들로 만들었습니다. 이 당시에 제가 이제 현장을 바라봤을 때 채 100명이 안 됐어요. 150명, 100명 정도가 이제 노인분들이 이제 쉬러 오는 공간들로 해서 쇠락된 공간이었는데 지금은 뒤에 데이터로 보여드리겠습니다만 굉장히 큰 명소로서 아이덴티티를 잡아가고 있고 지역 경제 활성화 요소까지도 충분히 이끌어내면서 지역의 어떤 재생적 역할의 어떤 선도적 역할까지 수행하는 사례들도 좀 보실 수 있을 것 같습니다. 시간이 좀 많지 않아서 다 보여드리기는 어렵고 이러한 형태로 좀 내용을 좀 보여드리겠습니다. 단적인 증거가 10년 동안 여기가 수봉공원이라는 게시물을 조사했는데 9천 건이 채 안 됐었습니다. 근데 저희가 이 사업을 도입을 하고 이제 한 1년 정도가 지났을 때 수십만 건, 43만 건 이상의 그런 게시물들로 있었고 대표적으로 이제 야간에는 서울 근교나 경기도에서 이 지역을 찾습니다. 그래서 10대 야간 명소에도 들어가는 그런 성공 사례로 좀 말씀드릴 수가 있을 것 같습니다. 그리고 인천 대공원은 수도권의 가장 대표적인 내용들인데요. 이것도 사례를 보여드리면 벚꽃 축제를 관람하는 공간들에 이런 미디어 아트스를 적용해서 굉장한 효과들을 일어났고 이 주변에 이제 어떤 상업 활동들에 대한 요구들이 굉장히 많이 있었습니다. 그래서 이런 내용들을 좀 보실 수가 있을 것 같습니다. 그 외에 이제 중앙공원 같은 경우도 지금 설계를 추진하고 있고요. 그리고 인천 그리고 국내 최대 규모의 인공수로인 경인 아라뱃길도 저희가 계획을 수립 중에 있습니다. 그리고 앞서서 동인천 얘기를 드렸는데요. 여기는 이제 과거에 가장 핫플레이스였습니다. 지금은 사실 굉장히 쇠락한 공간이었는데요. 인천 랜드마크로서 구성 계획을 검토하고 있고 이쪽은 앞서 삼성동과 같은 민간 협업 사업을 통해서 복합적인 공간들로 좀 진행을 할 계획이 있고 그리고 비슷한 그리고 사일로는 기네스북에도 오른 곡물창고 벽화로 이곳에 야간 조명과 디자인 특화를 위해서 명소화를 추진한 바가 있습니다. 비슷한 공간에 이제 친수 공간, 이제 항만 도시다 보니까 친수 공간들이 많은데 이곳에 구두와 고가교, 고고50 안전길을 조성하는 등의 사업들을 하고 있습니다. 추가적으로는 수도권 최대 어항인 소래포구, 그리고 인천 계양장의 대표 명소인 인천 자유공원, 그리고 한국 전쟁의 대표적 기념 공간인 인천 상륙작전 기념관 등의 세부적인 설계와 계획을 추진하고 있습니다. 그리고 또 하나 이제 고민이 되는 부분이 이거였습니다. 공공주도를 하게 되면 결국엔 컨텐츠가 어떻게 수급되고 계속해서 그 수준을 유지할 것인가에 대한 고민이 있어서 그것들은 국내외 예술가 그룹과 협업하여 보시는 바와 같이 다양한 컨텐츠를 인천에 활용할 수 있도록 하는 그리고 참여할 수 있는 공공형 플랫폼, 컨텐츠 플랫폼 사업들을 추진을 하고 있습니다. 그 외에는 이제 운영하기 위한 통합 관리 프로그램도 구축 중에 있습니다. 네, 인천은 다소 늦었습니다. 다시 늦은 건 사실인데 테크가 데코레이션을 만나서 테크레이션이 각각 스마트 시티라든가 메가시티에 적용되듯이 도시공간, 인천의 어떤 특별한 경험과 참여 향유를 위한 전환을 위해서 빛과 색 디자인을 적용해서 제도나 기술이 사람의 경험을 앞서지 않도록 디자인하고 이를 확산하도록 노력하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. And our on and offline participants must have questions. So we'd like to have the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'd like to open your sounds for our online attendees, and we'd like to hand off the microphone for our participants on site. So is there a question? Or you can just leave your comment or question on the chat box, YouTube live streaming chat box. So we'll give you a little time to think about the question. So we have lots of participants from all around Asia. So I think Incheon is the city that retain the modern history. So I believe it will become an attractive city if it blends with the light. So I quite look forward to the beautiful Incheon city with light. Yes, I believe his presentation was perfect, so there's no question. Thank you very much once again to the professor. Thank you. And next, we'll move on to the Yala city, Thailand. We'll meet Director Chani Ugarsiri of ONGA Art for Light Corporation Limited through an online lecture. The lecture topic will be on reflecting history, present, and future through light art for cities. Let's meet at the presentation now.
Hello everyone, my name is Dashini Ongasili. I'm a creative lighting designer of Onga Artful Lights based in Bangkok, Thailand. Today my topic is reflecting history, present, and future through light art for cities. I would like to share with you a decorative lighting design project for the cities from last year, Yala right now 2022. We continue to design decorative New Year lights for the clock tower Laobao in the center of Yala. They are an eye-catching feature in the public space, adding color to the city and creating relaxed atmosphere for local people, especially after the Yala province went through the crisis, COVID-19. What challenges us this year was that Descori reduces budget for decorative lighting. We solved this problem by reusing, reducing, and recycling. There are 4 corners in this clock tower colossal for decorative lighting. At some point, we reintroduces the lights from last year, reduces the installations of decorative lights from 4 pairs, allow the clock tower to just 1 pair, and added the linear string of lights around the clock tower. The string of lights running around the edge of the clock tower makes this architecture brighter and more eye-catching at night. We added a new light sculpture and Yala Light Now 2022 side to the decorative light corner, so that villagers can continue to feel that the lights in this area have changes and take photos in a new light. We replaced the original light sculpture and changes the light color of the lamps. Last year, we used warm white light. This year, we are using 7 color changing lamp instead, and have also installed some UVC lamps to kill germs. A new light sculpture we installed is allow a sign saying Yala Light Now 2022 is inspired by Saiburi River. This river is important to the way of life of the people of Yala and the 3 border provinces below. It is an important link between the people and the streams that exist in this area. It is a lifeline from upstream to downstream, called the Golden River, meaning River of Life. Within the clock tower Laobao, Yala Light Now 2022 is the landmark that locals love to photograph from different angles. They all represent the precious natural resources and cultural traditions of Yala province, whether it be dragonfish, Bongshompu fish, Java birds, and River of Life. Parents take their child out, enjoy their evening in this area, and take souvenir photos together. In my opinion, the decorative lighting reflects the situation in the country at that time. When a city was its heyday, it was tons of beautiful lighting, expensive and technical decorations. But when the country is facing economic problems, the economics can be reflected in the light art, which has to cut the budget, When we design light art at this time, we have to think about the spatial distance and cut the budget for interactive system because the cost is too high. This also includes incorporating innovative lightings in public areas, such as thermistor lamps used in the design of light art. Second case is Flowers of Friendship. I would like to tell you briefly the history of this place called Ong Ang, literally Pottery Canal and old districts of Bangkok. And in earlier times, the canal served as floating market for traders of pottery and other goods. Later, the canals was used less and less. In the last 4 decades, it has been hijacked by traders who set up shop on its bank or on its beaches. In 2016, City Councilor and NBA executive traveled to the southern Korean capital Seoul to visit the Cheonggyecheon restoration projects, a renowned urban renewal project that includes a canal. Inspired by this, the NBA decided to start a canal renewal project in Khong Ong Ang. Later, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration's MBA received a UN Habitat Award for the 2020 Asian Townscape Awards, and Thailand is one of 6 countries that received awards. The Khong Ong Ang used to be just another dirty canal with murky and smelly water. Today, it has become a beautiful pedestrian walkway with walking paths and magnificent views. Here, you can learn more about the lifestyle of ordinary Bangkokians from the past to the present, including Chinese, Indians, and other populations who make their living in this vibrant city. This light arts project was funded by the Contemporary Arts and Culture Promotion Fund. It was selected as one of 27 projects from a total of 283 submitted nationwide. The flowers of friendship bloom and spread along Khong Ong Ang walking streets to give visitors admiring the digital flower light art that illuminates the pedestrian's walkway. This light of digital flowers try to encourage all those involved in the revival of Ong Ang Canal from darkness and silhouettes, including skaters and pedestrians. We have invited young artists from Bangkok School for the Bay to create light art with us. There will be an imaginary flower painting competition where the winning paintings will be selected and exhibited. We have 9 different types of flowers on display. 4 of them are flowers that our designers have researched. We have found that these Thai flowers have good meanings for basics and have long been associated with Thai lifestyle from the past to the present and future. The other 5 kinds of flowers are the works of children. We have transformed the imaginary flower image of Bangkok School for the Bay into digital light art by using scope light projects to bring these imaginary flowers back to life and emit a colorful light, so that everyone can see the beauty of the flowers of friendship that know no disabilities. I would like to show you the interview of the Bay artist.
สวัสดีครับผมชื่อนายก้องพิดากรจันเทพนักเรียนชั้นประถมศึกษาปีที่6ทับ1ปัจจุบันศึกษาอยู่ที่โรงเรียนสอนคนตาบอดกรุงเทพครับผมได้เข้าร่วมการประกวดดอกไม้แห่งมิตรภาพได้รางวัลรองชนะเลิศอันดับ1ดอกไม้ที่ผมส่งเข้าประกวดคือดอกบัวเพราะว่าดอกบัวคือดอกไม้ที่สามารถเบ่งบานได้แม้กระทั่งอยู่ในโคนต้นก็เหมือนกับปัจจุบันที่พวกเราได้พบกับสถานการณ์โควิดครับดอกบัวก็เหมือนกับคนเราโควิดก็เหมือนกับโคนตมครับแม้ว่าจะมีโคนตมหรือโควิดแค่ไหนดอกบัวกับคนเราก็เหมือนกันก็สามารถใช้ชีวิตและก้าวหน้าต่อไปได้ครับขอบคุณครับ
and I hope you will like their interviews. And finally, the Peerless Fantasies, the flowers of little by artists combine to create work of light arts. The flower often sits that shines beautifully and blossom in every heart. You can also see drawings of flowers made by bright children, although they don't have no idea about colors, lights, and other little things we take for granted. They have used their imaginations to draw flowers. Our team is very inspired by their spirit and creativity. Last but not least, we hope this project will benefit the community as follows. 1. The light of flowers that illuminates these streets will inspire everyone. 2. Second, a spectacular view at night and give everyone the opportunity to have a creative space without restrictions. 3. Enhance the area by using lights as a medium to connect people and city. 4. Promote art and culture through flowers that have good meaning. 5. Promote tourism to make room for Khong Ong walking streets, which will become interesting again for tourists who have already returned and boost the economy of community. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy my presentations. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Everyone might be very impressive to watch the Thailand city with the lights. The Yala city, Thailand with the lights. Thank you very much for your presentation. And next, let us check out the answer video about the questions of her presentation. We prepared the video clip. Let us watch it. And also, if you have more questions regarding the lecture, please send us an email to the Luci Asian Urban Lighting Workshop Secretariat Office, and we'll help to deliver an answer. So we'll just present the video clip contain the answer.
What do you have any plans to maintain the global projectors and the supporting structure, especially in a hot and humid place like Bangkok? Thank you for good questions. We install the global projectors on the canopies of the buildings. We use steel legs and cover them with plaster rods to hold the weight of the light. We hold the lighting feature with a strings to the original structure of the old building for safety reasons. The global projector will not fall to the ground, which would be dangerous for the pedestrians. And we also choose the global projector specification is the IP-less 65, and this lamp also suitable for humid and outdoor rainy environments. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question, the answer. Now, continuing on, the next case is MADIUN Regency, Indonesia. The governor, Ahmad Dawami Ragil Sabtro of MADIUN Regency, made and sent a video clip to us. We'll now hear the lecture on the topic of a smart street lighting plan of MADIUN Regency, Indonesia. Of course, if you have any questions regarding the lecture, please send us an email to the Luci Asia Urban Lighting Workshop Secretariat Office, and we'll help you to deliver the answer. Now, let us watch the video clip.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang terhormat Wali Kota Seoul Metropolitan, yang terhormat Chief LUCI Asia, yang saya hormati seluruh peserta seminar yang berbahagia. Dalam kesempatan ini, izinkan kami dari Kabupaten Madiun, Indonesia, untuk mempresentasikan Smart Street Lighting Plan of Madiun Regency Indonesia. Sekilas tentang Kabupaten Madiun dan potensinya. Kabupaten Madiun memiliki luas wilayah 1.133 km persegi dengan ibu kota Kabupaten Madiun di kota Caruban. Dengan potensi antara lain adalah secara geografis terletak di tengah Provinsi Jawa Timur, dilalui oleh jalan nasional serta memiliki 2 jalan keluar tol lintas selatan Jawa. Kabupaten Madiun juga dilewati oleh jalur kereta api, jalur ganda, dan stasiun Caruban sebagai tempat pemberhentiannya. Kabupaten Madiun juga memiliki hasil alam yang berlimpah baik dari segi pertanian, perikanan maupun peternakan, dan juga memiliki potensi pariwisata seperti danau, air terjun, pegunungan, dan beberapa wisata buatan lainnya. Selain itu juga terdapat potensi wisata budaya seperti kesenian dongkrek atau kesenian tari topeng dan juga situs candi-candi. Kabupaten Madiun juga memiliki daerah pengembangan seperti daerah kawasan industri dan daerah ibu kota kabupaten yaitu kota Caruban. Berikut beberapa lokasi wisata dan potensi alam yang ada di Kabupaten Madiun. Dari kiri atas itu ada peninggalan bersejarah Punden Lambang Kuning. Di sampingnya ada air terjun Seweru, di sampingnya lagi ada hutan pinus Nongko Ijo. Baris kedua ini pusat pemerintahan yang ada di kota Caruban dan sampingnya juga air terjun Jomblang. Kemudian ini ada waduk Bedung Lupus di wilayah utara Kabupaten Madiun dan ada juga waduk Mening di wilayah timur Kabupaten Madiun dan juga yang paling pojok itu ada monumen Kresek. Selanjutnya dalam rangka mengoptimalkan dan mengkerjasamakan potensi yang ada, Kabupaten Madiun berencana untuk menyusun master plan untuk pengembangan smart city, urban safety, energy saving, dan city night beautification. Titik temu dari pengembangan tersebut serta langkah prioritas pertama yang harus dilaksanakan adalah dengan proyek Smart Street Lighting. Menginjak selanjutnya tentang strategic plan, untuk memberikan gambaran lebih lengkap, strategic plan dari pengembangan Kabupaten Madiun kami sederhanakan sebagai berikut. Visi misi kami adalah Kabupaten Madiun yang aman, mandiri, sejahtera, dan berakhlak. Untuk mencapai tujuan tersebut, penguatan ekonomi melalui pemberdayaan masyarakat dan meningkatkan pendapatan serta mengurangi biaya operasional melalui kebijakan pemberian alokasi dana desa sebesar 20% dari APBD. 2 langkah utama yang harus dilaksanakan adalah pembangunan Smart Street Lighting dan juga Smart City Master Plan. Smart Street Lighting akan menyediakan data dasar dan 198 desa akan membangun Smart Street Light untuk menyambung Smart Street Lighting pada ruas jalan utama. Smart System pada Smart City untuk mengoptimalisasi potensi dan kerjasama di Kabupaten Madiun, termasuk berkolaborasi dengan desa di Kabupaten Madiun. Smart Street Lighting adalah langkah besar pertama yang harus dilakukan sebagai backbone dari Smart City, pengambilan data, dan juga sebagai daya tarik Kabupaten Madiun untuk daerah lain di Indonesia, agar mendapatkan pengetahuan terkait manfaat dari Smart Street Lighting. Smart City adalah langkah kedua yang dapat dicapai melalui kolaborasi antara Kabupaten Madiun dan para investor. Ketika Kabupaten Madiun menjadi lebih baik dengan sistem implementasi lighting teknologi dan smart system, maka daerah lain di Indonesia dan bahkan dunia akan berbondong-bondong hadir ke Kabupaten Madiun hanya untuk belajar dari pengalaman dan kerjasama yang dilakukan dengan LUCI dan para investor. Diagram pada slide ini menggambarkan manfaat umum yang dapat diperoleh dengan adanya street lighting dan bagaimana manfaat itu dapat bertambah dengan adanya penambahan smart system. street lighting akan memberikan manfaat keselamatan jalan, rasa aman, dan rasa nyaman yang dapat memicu kegiatan ekonomi malam hari serta dapat meningkatkan ekonomi masyarakat. Dengan penambahan smart system, manfaat tersebut dapat bertambah dengan beragamnya perangkat yang ditanamkan pada street lighting seperti penghematan energi, pengambilan data lalu lintas, serta pendeteksian vibrasi yang dapat berfungsi juga sebagai warning system. Untuk memperoleh smart street lighting, terdapat 2 langkah yang dilakukan oleh Kabupaten Madiun. Yang pertama adalah dengan mengadakan street lighting melalui skema KPBU dan mengadakan smart system dengan mengikuti program KCT Network dari pemerintah Korea. Berikut 2 tahapan yang sedang dilakukan pada saat ini. Melalui skema KPBU, kami dapat memenuhi 32% street lighting yang standar dan layak. Hal ini menjadi pemicu besar bagi Kabupaten Madiun untuk dapat memenuhi 100% kebutuhan street lighting dengan berbagai skema pengadaan. Apabila kita perhatikan jadwal pelaksanaan skema KPBU street lighting yang sudah dirintis sejak tahun 2019 dan dengan membandingkan proses pelaksanaan KCT Network, maka kalimat yang paling tepat untuk menggambarkan hal ini adalah kebetulan yang indah dan misterius. Kami tentu berharap dapat dianugerahkan program KCT Network agar program dan impian Kabupaten Madiun dapat terlaksana. Berikut ini adalah roadmap terdekat yang akan dilakukan setelah pengadaan smart street lighting dilaksanakan. Yang pertama adalah dengan melengkapi 68% smart street lighting di ruas utama, serta menghubungkan smart street lighting ke jalan pedesaan. Untuk langkah kedua hingga keempat akan kami jelaskan pada slide berikutnya. Keempat langkah ini kami rintis dan kami lakukan secara paralel. Langkah kedua yang kami lakukan adalah dengan menjadikan Kabupaten Madiun menjadi kabupaten yang ramah investasi. Kami mengerti bahwa investor membutuhkan kenyamanan dan kepastian dalam berinvestasi di suatu daerah. Oleh karena itu, kami akan menyiapkan program tersebut dengan baik dari kesiapan organisasi, regulasi, dan program-program dukungan lainnya untuk investor. Langkah ketiga adalah menyiapkan ruang investasi di Kabupaten Madiun. Kabupaten Madiun akan menyiapkan sebuah master plan untuk memetakan potensi yang ada, serta bagaimana kolaborasi yang dapat dilakukan melalui lighting teknologi dan smart system. Selain itu, kami juga merencanakan agar kota Caruban dapat menjadi City of Light, di mana investor dapat memamerkan teknologinya dan bagaimana implementasinya teknologi tersebut dapat dirasakan manfaatnya. Dengan para investor yang mengimplementasikan berbagai teknologi pencahayaan dan smart system di Kabupaten Madiun, kami percaya ini akan menjadi daya tarik yang besar dan bermanfaat bagi Kabupaten Madiun serta para investor. Saat ini Kabupaten Madiun sudah menjadi daya tarik karena keberhasilannya dalam pengadaan street lighting dengan menggunakan skema KPBU. Daya tarik ini harus terus berlanjut untuk dapat memberikan manfaat bagi Kabupaten Madiun dan para investor. Ini adalah mimpi indah bagi kami atas Kabupaten Madiun sebagai display implementasi berbagai lighting teknologi dan smart system. Smart city serta keindahan malam dari teknologi pencahayaan merupakan impian dari hampir seluruh kota-kota di dunia. Pemerintah maupun stakeholder dari kota-kota tersebut akan lebih mudah memahami apabila dapat merasakan dan melihat secara langsung bagaimana implementasinya di Kabupaten Madiun. Sebagai penutup dalam acara yang luar biasa ini, izinkan kami untuk menyampaikan bahwa Kabupaten Madiun bagaikan kanvas putih dengan keterbatasan alat gambar. Kami ingin menggambar sebuah daerah yang penuh warna dan kebahagiaan. Kesempatan yang diberikan kepada kami di acara ini sangat membahagiakan bagi kami. Kami berharap LUCI beserta hadirin semuanya dalam acara ini dapat menjadi berbagai pensil warna untuk bersama-sama menciptakan sebuah kolaborasi yang indah dan penuh warna. Kami dari Kabupaten Madiun sangat terbuka lebar dan sangat mengharapkan kehadiran LUCI dan juga seluruh peserta yang mengikuti acara ini untuk bisa datang di Madiun melihat langsung kanvas putih Kabupaten Madiun. Kami dan segenap jajaran Kabupaten Madiun juga sangat berharap LUCI dapat mengundang kami untuk dapat melakukan site visit dan diskusi langsung di LUCI Regional Office serta seperti apa kolaborasi yang telah dilakukan LUCI bersama Seoul Metropolitan Government. Kami juga terbuka untuk memenuhi undangan ke lokasi implementasi teknologi dari investor maupun headquarter dari investor sebagai upaya pendalaman hubungan relasi serta memperdalam pengetahuan kami atas teknologi lampu dan smart system saat ini. Demikian yang bisa saya sampaikan. Terima kasih atas perhatian dan kesempatannya. Ada kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Wallahul muwaffiq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We would like to give our gratitude to the governor for sending us the video clip that helped us to view the smart city in MADIUN, even though he couldn't be here with us today. Thank you very much once again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, shall we just go to Chittagong in Bangladesh? The director, Muhammad Mahbub Hussain, has prepared a presentation with the director, Julian Kumar Das, and the presentation will be conducted by Muhammad Mahbub Hussain on the topic of RF-based smart LED lighting grid implementation by Chittagong City Corporation. Once again, if you have any questions regarding the lecture, please send us an email to the Luci Asian Urban Lighting Workshop Secretariat Office and we'll help you to deliver an answer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us watch the next presentation video.
Hello viewers, I'm going to talk about radio frequency based smart lighting grid implementation project of City Corporation as a case study, and my name is Muhammad Mahbub Hussain. I've played the role of the project sponsor, and I've been leading the implementation team, EPC contractor team on behalf of Chittagong City Corporation. So I'm going to talk about the project very quickly. Today, this is the table of content. Then you can see how we are going to exactly what topics that we are going to cover on a broad perspective. Let me go through quickly one by one. So initially we talk about the summary of the project. Just to start, this is the first successfully implemented sensor-based smart lighting grid implemented in Bangladesh, and implemented in a city about whom we talk a little bit, a few seconds about, we know about the city, about the place where we have implemented this project. This project is implemented in the city called Chittagong, which is formerly known as Chittagong. It is a very large port city on the southeastern coast of Bangladesh. Chittagong is the second largest city in Bangladesh after the capital Dhaka, and it hosts the busiest seaport on the Bay of Bengal. The total area in Chittagong is 168 square kilometers. Elevation is about 29 meters from the sea level. And one important aspect is that average humidity of the city is 78%. And the total population of the city is about 8.44 million in terms of the census of 2016, but I believe it's about 10 million at this point of time. So the project that we are talking about, the official name of the project is Integrated City Governance Project. There are a few packages, 5 packages, which includes the smart city part of the project. And it has been funded by JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency. The value of the contract was about $5.75 million US for us, and the project has been completely implemented on time, on schedule, by before 15th of March 2020. Some technical summary of the project. We have implemented the project across about 41 major streets and 93 kilometers, I believe. The number of smart LED luminaires used is about 5,200, and manufactured by Thorn, and model name is Isaro Pro, one of the latest models of Thorn. And the smart features that we've implemented so far as ambient light sensors, GPS and astroclock profiling, bipolar switching sensors, and etc. So far. And the type of control we have used are NB-IoT with 7-pin NEMA, and the control system is called City Manager by TVLite Netherlands and Thorn UK. And all the additional smart features are being implemented by Trade Majestic Limited in Bangladesh, which are ongoing at this moment of time. The project spread across the city is something which is very interesting because it's been quite a tough implementation for us because of the spread across the city, while covering all the major business districts and 3 of the major residential areas of the city. And the part of national highway is about 7 kilometers, which is under which comes under the city Chattogram City Corporation, and we've covered that part as well in the project. So you can see, if you see in the photograph, you can see the spread across the city that we have done so far. And so managing the network as implementation and the network has not been very easy for us as of today. And these are some of the test reports from a very reliable lab in Bangladesh. And it's because just to show this, that the quality of luminaires in the products that we have used, very high efficient products we have used, and the wattages we have used here, if you see, it's from 40 watts to 100 watts. There are 4 or 5 different wattages that we have used in different types of streets of the city, which was designed before the project started. So the color temperature for all the luminaires that we have implemented used is 4,000 color temperature, 4,000 Kelvin, which is suggested or as recommended by the European guidelines for street light, complex streets. How actually, we're now going to talk about how actually the Chattogram City Corporation realized the need of the project and the concept. Basically, the cities, including Chattogram, the cities in Southeast Asia are known as very chaotic cities simply because we've been addressing issues in silos. And there has been no sharing of information, no sharing of resources or infrastructure between different departments. There has been duplicate investments. There's been no value chain, information value chain created by the cities through integration of, through integrated efforts. So the Chattogram City Corporation very quickly realized that the fragmented approach is not sustainable, it has limited effectiveness, and it's not economically beneficial as well. So at realizing that, when we proposed a structure, and we proposed a structure or architecture of a solution where we say that we are going to build a network through the light points of the city, and based on that network, we are going to come up with a system which will be able to manage or influence almost all the core city services, starting from transport management to water management to parking management to lighting, waste, environment, safety and security and traffic management. So we have given a vision to the Chattogram City Corporation, which they have accepted, and they have taken the project for implementation. Then we did a lot of detailed feasibility study where we have shown that the total cost of ownership of a smart LED street lighting is about 33% less than that of a dumb street lighting system in terms of a lot of different financial aspects. The challenge that we have faced during the COVID-19 implementation, it's very inevitable because the project, the official commencement of the date of the project was 20th of May 2020, which had the highest at that time, the panic related to the pandemic was highest. And Chattogram had one of the highest COVID-19 infection rates in Bangladesh. And all the senior project engineers from Chattogram City Corporation and the EPC contractor and all our team members, including myself, we have been suffering, we had all suffered from severe COVID-19 infections. Some of us left, some of our colleagues and stakeholders of the project left the world during that sad period. So we had to face keeping all this thing in heart. We did not stop. And icing on the cake was a lot of different operational challenges. Operational challenges like unavailability of engineers and workers and technicians to work on the field during that period of time. because of a lot of long months of lockdowns and supply delays and shutdowns and sickness and all these reasons. All the supplies of the core products manufactured by Thorn and Twilight and all other partners in Europe, was very heavily delayed. It was really delayed. Some of the implementations were, was really delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Shipping costs increased by 7 times, according to our calculation. And if you can see the data here as well. And with at least 2 times more voyage time. So, it was a lot of challenges due to, in terms of meeting timelines. And at the same time, meeting the project budget had become a big challenge. And I want to mention that we have not increased the budget by a single penny, and we've completed the project on time, instead of the fact that all the major items and indirect and direct costs have increased throughout the project lifetime. We had a lot of challenges, due to in the implementation because of the number of days we have lost due to lockdown, shutdown, and the panic and supply delays. We had to work, days and nights, 2 shifts a day. Hundreds of workers have worked on the ground to build the infrastructure and then install the luminaires and then go ahead with the smart features. There were a lot of challenges we had to face because the entire project implementation plan was shattered by the pandemic, which actually had forced us to do risky activities and risky implementation activities and expensive implementation activities during the heavy rainy season with the risk of landslides and a lot of water clogging in the city of Chattogram because of heavy rain. The impact of the project on the Chattogram City Corporation and the citizens are really big because with Healthy Light, they have had a lot of smart features, including, these are some of the news articles which was there in the national media to praise the project. One instance I can tell you in this article, it's written in Bengali though, but let me give you a very quick idea. On one specific Overcast day, there was a lot of cloud in the sky, and the overall ambient of the city became very dark, which caused the ambient light sensors to come into action, and the street lights were turned on, and which attracted a lot of attention of the media and the people of the city, and made their life very easy to move around during their overcast period. So these are some of the major benefits. And how the city looked from a dark night to a very bright and healthy luminaires with a value, with a lot of money savings from energy consumption and other aspects, has changed the life of the city, life of the people of Chattogram. And we've seen it right from the ground that how happy people were to enjoy the luminaires and the lights, even in the business district, the residential areas, highways. It's been a very, very enthusiastic reaction that we received from the people, and the savings of energy, you can see 25% here in the last 6 months. It's a real-time data taken on the 4th of June, but the actual fact is that we have achieved more than 50%. It is showing 25% because we have basically been testing the product for the last 3-4 months, testing the entire system for the last 3-4 months, and by not using the dimming functionalities due to some with some plans of implementation of some other features. So in short, we've seen the electricity bills, and we've achieved more than 50% energy savings through our system for this entire system. And overall, what's Chattogram plan and where they want to go from here onward? The plan that we have is Chattogram is going to keep the this entire smart lighting, art-based smart lighting grid in the heart of its smart city implementation in the years to come. So this already there is a project undertaken. Right now it is about 93 kilometers area covered. But there's already a project which is about to start implementation, which will be which is adding about another 500 kilometers of the city streets to be included in the network. as an extension of the project, and because of the success of this project, that project has already been taken. And based on that total network, we will start implementing adaptive smart, adaptive traffic monitoring, traffic signaling system, flood and water monitoring system, structural health monitoring system of the establishment of the buildings of the city, smart waste management system, environmental monitoring systems, and a lot of other systems. In short, Chattogram City Corporation is ready to change its future. And we are going to do, we have already started building the integrated software, which will be managing all the entire system in from one platform, one smart Chattogram platform. So it's already been implementation is being ongoing, and the foundation has been built. So now we are going to just spread the breadth of the project and start implementing the smart features one by one. It's going to be one of the remarkable projects. And I really thank all of you, NLCUI, and all of you listening to my presentation for giving me this opportunity to talk about this exciting project that we have completed here in Bangladesh. Thank you very much from Bangladesh, and I'd like to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was quite super great to watch the beautiful Chittagong city, Bangladesh, with the light at the very beginning of the presentation, and also understand the light project for making better city through the presentation. Thank you very much once again. And same for this as well. If you have got any questions, please email to the Secretariat. Now, following on, and lastly, we'll have the case study of Muscat Municipality, Oman. Mr. Mukesh Arora, the CEO of Industrial Management Technology and Contracting LLC Oman, will present to us on the topic of energy monitoring and conservation through connected streetlights in the city of Muscat. The presenter, Mukesh Arora, is currently connected through the Zoom in live, I think. So this time we can have a Q&A session after the presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions after the lecture. Mukesh Arora, are you there?
Yes.
So, thank you very much. So I believe that you are ready to give your presentation.
Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am really excited to be amongst you this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are, and share with you the lighting experience that we have created for the city of Muscat in Oman, in GCC, in the Gulf countries. And while the agenda of this presentation is urban lighting, but I think it's good that we'll take a 360-degree view of lighting, because lighting has a lot of other complementary objectives which a city always looks at. So,
sorry, sir, I applies to interrupt you. So would you please the change from the presentation mode to full screen mode? That would be great if we can see your face. Yes. Is it right? I'd like to ask to our director. So would you please just change the mode to full screen mode? Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much.
all right. So the priorities of municipalities in this part of the world, and I assume in many other cities, is we are looking at environmental efficiency. We are looking at optimal operation of the city in terms of lighting and other critical infrastructure. And of course, we are looking at the economic efficiency. How can we run the infrastructure at the minimum cost possible? Because in large cities, there is a lot of wastage of energy and human capital. And it's important that we look at all the aspects together. So in this part of the world, Muscat municipality has been looking at lighting in totality, or smart city in totality. And we have looked at not just lighting, but we have looked at all complementary applications such as building, transportation, lighting, water, wastewater, and surveillance. So the directors of the city are looking at all possibilities where, because all these applications are power hungry, they consume a lot of energy. So it's important that we, while we minimize the consumption of energy, we also look at optimal output for all these critical services of the city. So so energy saving in lighting and otherwise, it's an opportunity because when we take initiatives such as smart lighting or smart water or smart city, it's an opportunity to look at city in totality. It is an opportunity to look at what are the demand points that are consuming the energy. So the 5 challenges that Muscat City has tried to address in their planning cycle. One is diversity in sources of energy. So there is a concrete effort to look at all kinds of sources of energy. So whether it is solar, whether it is gas-based. So especially in lighting, what we have seen in last year or so, there has been increasing demand of introducing solar-based energy source because the lighting infrastructure is generally quite distributed across tens of kilometers. So it consumes a lot of energy. So if you have an alternate source, then that can really help in saving a lot of cost. The second challenge is how to measure the consumption. And it has to become a culture, it has to become a norm. And it is important that unless you measure the consumption, you cannot improve it. So you have to have the parameters in front of you to look to do your planning. The third thing is number of energy saving measures must increase. So LED retrofit is one measure, control and monitoring, real-time lighting infrastructure is another measure, making sure that the